I'm writing this because I don't know what else to do with it. I haven't told anyone in my real life, and I don't think I ever will. Not because I'm scared they won't believe me, but because I'm scared of what it would mean if they did. This happened about 6 weeks ago. I live alone in a small apartment. Nothing fancy. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 2nd floor. The kind of place where you can hear your neighbors sneeze through the walls but somehow still feel isolated at night. I work remotely, so most days I barely leave. My routine is boring, predictable, and honestly, that's how I like it. The first strange thing wasn't even that strange. I came home one evening and noticed my phone wasn't where I usually leave it. I always drop it on the kitchen counter near the keys. This time, it was on the couch. Face down. I remember pausing for a second, trying to replay my movements in my head. Maybe I'd sat down first. Maybe I'd tossed it without thinking. It didn't feel important enough to question. I picked it up and went on with my night. A few days later, I found my phone charging in the bedroom. I don't charge it there. Ever. The outlet near my bed doesn't work properly, and I hate cables near where I sleep. I clearly remember plugging it in the living room before going to bed. Again, I told myself I was overthinking. Long work hours mess with your memory. You stop trusting small details. That was the pattern in the beginning. Small things. Easy to dismiss. The night I really noticed something was off, I woke up at 3:12 a.m. I know the exact time because I checked my phone immediately. I'd had a dream where someone was standing very close to my face, so close I could feel their breath. When I woke up, my heart was racing, but the room was empty. Dark. Quiet. I reached for my phone out of habit. It wasn't there. I sat up in bed and scanned the room. Nightstand empty. Floor empty. No glow, no vibration, nothing. I found it on the dresser, propped up against a stack of books. The screen was off, but the angle bothered me. It was pointed directly at my bed. I stood there for a full minute, holding it, trying to convince myself I was projecting fear onto an object. I checked the phone immediately. No missed calls. No open apps. Battery normal. I didn't sleep much after that. The next morning, I did something I'd never done before. I went through my phone carefully. Every app, every setting. I checked permissions, background activity, storage usage. Everything looked normal. No unknown apps. No suspicious activity. For a few days nothing happened. I started to relax again. I even laughed at myself once, thinking about how paranoid I'd been. Then I found the video. It was in my gallery, buried between screenshots and random photos. A file name I didn't recognize. Just numbers and letters. No thumbnail preview. The video was 11 minutes long. I remember sitting down before opening it. That sounds dramatic, but it's true. Something in me knew that once I pressed play I wouldn't be able to undo it. The video started in darkness. Then the image adjusted, and I recognized my bedroom immediately. Same angle. Same dresser. Same bed. I was in the frame. Asleep. The camera wasn't hidden. It wasn't across the room. It was close. Way too close. The perspective suggested the phone was standing on the edge of the mattress, angled slightly downward. I watched myself breathe. I watched my chest rise and fall. I watched myself shift under the blanket. About 4 minutes in, I rolled over in my sleep. The camera adjusted. Not automatically. It moved. Slightly. Like someone had nudged it to keep me centered. I felt sick. I skipped ahead. My hand was shaking so badly I had to steady the phone against my leg. The video continued exactly the same way. No cuts. No glitches. Just me, sleeping and small adjustments to the angle whenever I moved too far out of frame. Near the end of the video something else happened. I opened my eyes. Not fully. Just a slight flutter. Like I was half awake. The person holding the camera didn't move. They didn't step back. They didn't stop recording. I watched myself stare directly into the lens. I don't remember doing that. The video ended a few seconds later. I checked the file details. The timestamp said it was recorded at 3:12 a.m. The same time I remembered waking up from the dream. I didn't call the police. I know that's what everyone says they would do, but I didn't. I kept thinking there had to be a rational explanation. Maybe sleepwalking. Maybe I'd recorded it myself without remembering. Except for one problem. The phone in the video wasn't my phone. The case was different. Slightly thicker. Darker. I went through my apartment slowly, checking drawers, closets, under furniture. I found it in the back of my closet, tucked inside a shoebox I hadn't opened in months. A phone I had never seen before. Fully charged. No lock screen. And when I opened the gallery, there were more videos. All of me. Sleeping. From different nights. Different angles. Some of them dated days in the future. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the edge of my bed with the lights on, the unfamiliar phone resting in my hands like it weighed more than it should. Every few minutes, I checked my apartment again. Front door locked. Windows shut. Closet empty except for clothes and boxes that hadn't moved in years. The phone stayed on. The screen never dimmed. At around 5 a.m., I noticed something else. The phone had no service. No SIM card. No Wi-Fi connection. Airplane mode was off, but there were no bars. No carrier listed. And yet, the time was correct. Down to the minute. I opened the gallery again. There were dozens of videos. Same format. Same framing. Me asleep. Sometimes on my back. Sometimes on my side. Sometimes with my arm hanging off the bed. I forced myself to watch another one. This one was shorter. About 6 minutes. The angle was lower, closer to the floor, like the phone was resting against the bed frame. I watched myself toss and turn. Halfway through I mumbled something in my sleep. Just noise. No words. Then the whisper started. It was faint, almost drowned out by the sound of my breathing. At first I thought it was audio distortion. I turned the volume all the way up and held the phone close to my ear. It sounded like someone repeating a sentence under their breath. Not loud enough to understand. I stopped the video. I told myself not to watch anymore. I even put the phone back in the shoebox and shoved it deep into the closet. I closed the door and leaned my forehead against it, breathing slowly, trying to calm my thoughts. Then my own phone vibrated. A notification. I jumped, harder than I want to admit. It was just a system alert. Battery optimization reminder. Normal. Safe. Except for one thing. The alert timestamp said 3:12 a.m. I checked the current time. It was 5:41. I restarted my phone. The time corrected itself immediately. I stared at the screen, waiting for my pulse to slow down. That was the moment I realized something important. Every video timestamp on the unknown phone matched the exact time I remembered waking up from nightmares over the past few weeks. Times I'd brushed off as stress. Times I'd checked the clock and gone back to sleep. I hadn't been waking up randomly. Something had been waking me. By sunrise I made a decision. I wasn't going to the police yet. I needed to understand what I was dealing with first. If this was a prank, a setup, or some kind of mental break, I needed proof before I involved anyone else. I took the unknown phone with me to the kitchen and sat at the table. Natural light made it feel less threatening, like it might turn into a normal object if I stared at it long enough. I opened the settings. The device name was blank. No Google account. No Apple ID. No user profile. Just a phone that existed. I checked storage details. The videos took up almost all the space. Hundreds of gigabytes. Way more than should have fit on a phone that size. I tried connecting it to my Wi-Fi. The network appeared in the list. When I tapped it, nothing happened. No error. No connection attempt. It just stayed disconnected, like it didn't understand what Wi-Fi was supposed to be. That's when I noticed the Notes app. There was one note. No title. Just a block of text. I hesitated longer than I should have before opening it. The note contained timestamps. Dates. Short lines written underneath each one. Subject restless. Subject woke briefly. Subject made eye contact. My hands went cold. I scrolled. The most recent entry was dated last night, 3:12 a.m. Subject aware. I dropped the phone on the table like it burned me. For the rest of the day, I didn't leave the apartment. I kept the lights on. I kept the TV running quietly in the background, not really watching, just filling the space with sound. Every creak, every distant noise made my shoulders tense. That evening, I did something I'm not proud of. I set up my own phone to record video while I slept. I propped it on the dresser, wide angle, capturing the bed, the door, and part of the closet. I turned on the lights in the hallway and left the bedroom door slightly open. If someone was coming into my room, I wanted to see it. I lay down fully clothed, shoes off but everything else on. I felt ridiculous, scared, exhausted. Sleep came anyway. It always does. When I woke up, the room was dark. That wasn't how I'd left it. The hallway light was off. The bedroom door was closed. My phone was on the floor, face down. I grabbed it and unlocked the screen. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it again. The recording was still running. I rewound to the beginning and watched. The video showed me lying down, adjusting the phone, turning off the lamp. The door stayed open. Light spilled in from the hallway. About an hour in, I sat up suddenly. I didn't remember that. I looked straight at the closet. Then I stood up and walked out of frame. The camera kept recording the empty bed. I was gone for 8 minutes. When I came back into frame, I was holding something. The other phone. I placed it carefully on the dresser, adjusted its angle toward the bed, then picked up my own phone and set it on the floor, face down. Then I lay back down. I watched myself close my eyes. The recording continued for another 3 hours. Nothing else happened. I checked the timestamp, 3:12 a.m. I watched the video again, slower this time. Frame by frame. There was no one else in the room. No shadow. No reflection. No movement in the doorway. Just me, doing things I had no memory of doing. That night, I didn't bother pretending I could sleep. I sat on the bed, staring at the 2 phones on the dresser, side by side. One of them buzzed. The unknown phone lit up. A new note had appeared. Subject transitioning. I don't know how long I sat there staring at that note. Subject transitioning. The word felt wrong. Not threatening. Not dramatic. Just clinical. Like a status update. I picked up the unknown phone again. My hands were steady this time, which scared me more than the shaking had. Fear had started to flatten into something colder. Acceptance, maybe. There was another entry beneath it. Shorter. Newer. Resistance minimal. I didn't scream. I didn't throw the phone. I didn't call anyone. Instead, I did the worst possible thing. I went back to the videos. Not the older ones. The future-dated ones. I picked the earliest date that hadn't happened yet. 2 nights ahead. Same time as always. 3:12 a.m. The video opened in darkness. Then the image adjusted. It was my bedroom. But something was off. The camera angle was higher than usual, closer to the ceiling. I could see more of the room than any previous recording. The closet door was open. I was already in bed. Asleep. The timestamp confirmed it hadn't happened yet. At least, not according to my memory. About 3 minutes into the video, I stirred. My eyes opened slowly, unfocused. I didn't sit up. I didn't look confused. I looked calm. I rolled onto my side and spoke. Clear. Soft. Directly toward the camera. I know you're watching this late. I paused the video. My mouth was dry. My heart wasn't racing anymore. It felt like it had settled into a rhythm it recognized. I pressed play. I won't remember this, the version of me on the screen continued, so I'll keep it simple. I watched myself sit up. I used to think the fear was the worst part, I said. It's not. The worst part is how easy it gets. I leaned closer to the camera, close enough that my face filled the frame. You've been awake at 3:12 for a long time. Longer than you think. The video cut to a different angle. I recognized it immediately. It was from the hallway. The camera was positioned low, facing my bedroom door, The door opened. I stepped out, barefoot, calm, eyes open. I walked directly toward the camera and picked it up. The next part of the video was shaky. Hallway, kitchen, living room, my apartment moving past in silence. Then the video ended. I sat there in my real bedroom, staring at the blank screen. I understood then why the phone never connected to Wi-Fi, why the storage didn't make sense, why there was no account tied to it. It wasn't someone else's phone. It was mine. Not this version of me, the one that wakes up at 3:12. I didn't try to stop it after that. That's the part people don't like when I imagine explaining this to them. They want a fight, a confrontation, a moment where I took control. There wasn't one. That night, I didn't set up cameras. I didn't barricade the door. I didn't drink coffee to stay awake. I went to bed. At 3:12 a.m., I woke up. Fully. No panic. No confusion. Just awareness. The room felt familiar in a way it never had during the day, like stepping into a space you've been using for years without realizing it. I stood up and walked to the dresser. The unknown phone was already there. I picked it up and checked the notes. A new entry appeared as I watched. Transition complete. I smiled, not because I was happy, because the expression fit. I recorded a new video. I made sure the angle was right. I adjusted the framing carefully, the same way I'd seen in all the others. I checked the timestamp. 3:12 a.m. I spoke quietly, knowing exactly who would hear it. "You won't like this part," I said, "but you'll understand it eventually." I explained everything, not emotionally, not dramatically, just facts, patterns, timings, the way fear faded into routine. I ended the recording the same way the others had, by placing the phone back in the closet. When I woke up the next morning, sunlight filled the room. My phone was on the nightstand, face down, exactly where I always leave it. I felt rested, calm. The shoebox in the closet was empty. I don't wake up at 3:12 anymore. At least, I don't remember doing it. But sometimes, during the day, I'll notice my phone in a different place. Charging where I don't charge it. Angled in a way that makes no sense. And once, when I checked my gallery, I found a new video file. No thumbnail. Future date. I didn't open it. I don't need to. I already know what I'm going to say. And I know you're watching this late.